Hi there. Welcome back to this week's episode of my show where I talk about healing, creativity, and sometimes traveling because that's relevant to the work and life that I live. And this time I want to talk about traveling together as a family. Most of what I'm going to talk about is relating to life with a young child because that's what I'm experiencing right now, and it's what's something that I'm familiar with and I can speak to. As she gets older, I'm sure that will shift, quite a bit. But I wanted to talk today about traveling as a family and the gifts it gives you and the challenges of it. So I'm just coming off of 3 weeks in Italy. I was in Sardinia for a retreat that I led for a week at the end of April. And then after that, I went back and met up with my husband and my daughter, and we took the night ferry over to Civitavecchia from Sardinia, and that's the cruise port north of Rome. And then we took trains and went to Narni in central Umbria. And we were there in Narni for 12 days together, and just got back and had a really lovely experience. It was a fantastic opportunity to see two very different parts of Italy and introduce my husband and my daughter to Narni, which I got to see for the first time last November after my Puglia retreat. So traveling together like this and experiencing a night ferry for the first time. We've done night trains, we've done night flights, but a night ferry, big, like almost cruise ship sized ferry, was a really new experience. And also experiencing the Corsa all'Anello, which is the medieval recreation festival that happens in Narni every May, was a first for us as a family. And my daughter's now 6, and she has traveled with us since she was 4 months old. So she has experience, thankfully. And I know that for some other families that we know with similar aged kids, maybe you haven't had a chance to travel internationally yet with the kids. Maybe you've traveled within the US or just in like road trips and things like that. So it might be a little different, the proposition of international travel. So, let's talk about the positives, right? The positives are that you are giving a fabulous gift to your children by taking them to other parts of the world, even other parts of the country, even other parts of the state sometimes, right? But when you are able to travel internationally and your child is surrounded by people who don't speak the same language as them, surrounded by environments that look really different from what they're used to, customs and ways of being that are just different than what they're used to. All of that is a really important gift to give your kids, in addition to just like the things you might see, the stuff you might do, because it gives them perspective. It gives them a perspective on the world that they're just not going to get any other way. And it is a privilege. It is a privilege to be able to travel internationally with your kids. I do want to say that it is much less expensive than a lot of people think, and there are many ways to save money without it becoming like a thrifty sort of low-level experience. There's a lot of ways to have an incredible experience and stay in really nice places without breaking the bank. So I just want to start by saying that. So the gift that you're giving them is this gift of the perspective of a global citizen, someone who really understands that, there are places and cultures and ways of living that are not just like what we do back home. And that is so important for everyone, for people, adults and kids, to understand, because it really helps you have more empathy and a greater feeling of being a part of something bigger than just your own country, your own state, your own town. And to me, that's a value that's really important. And the other thing that it gives you as a family is a family bonding experience. So, things arise when you're traveling that are really tough sometimes, and sometimes a little bit challenging. We had a cancellation of a flight back home to Buffalo during this trip, and it was the end of the trip. We were ready to be home. We were so excited to go home, and then we couldn't go home. So, we had to figure it out. And those types of challenges, they happen while you're traveling. You might lose your luggage. You might not be able to find your Airbnb. You might, there's all kinds of things that can happen. Someone might get sick. We've experienced all sorts of things. But, even though in the moment that it's happening, it's not fun, and you might be tired, you might be grumpy, but you get through these things that are hard together, and it strengthens you as a family. I think that having the coping skills to deal with things as they come up is a really important skill as a family to bond you, to show the kids also that you as an adult are capable of dealing with uncertainty and managing your emotions. And, it's like one of those parenting things where you're like, this isn't really something I wanted to deal with, but I did it, and I showed the kids that I could handle it, and that we together could handle it, and that it was possible to get through it, and that we did it, and now that's done, and look at what we got through, and we managed it. In addition to all the wonderful things that you experience as a family, when you're on a trip, delicious food, delicious gelato, beautiful places, really interesting history, scenery that's just unparalleled, all these wonderful things. But there are challenges, and being a family and bonding through the challenges is a really big and important part of traveling. And I think it can't be underestimated. The other challenge that I want to mention, and this ties back to the work that I do as a retreat leader, is that it can be really hard on parents to travel with young kids and never get a break. I speak from experience because we just are coming off of, Michael was with Artie for a week straight while I was leading my retreat in Sardinia. And he was solo parenting for a week straight. Not easy to do, and if you are a solo parent all the time, my hat is off to you, because this is no joke. And then we were, vacationing together as a family and not having any childcare, during that time. Because if there's not a trusted person that or something like that, or anyone to take the kid off your hands for a few hours, you're doing it 24/7. And that can be really tough, because especially when you're in a place that's not familiar, and you just are a bit stressed out or tired, or even, you're having a wonderful time, but you're tired, needing a little bit of solo adult parent time, having a date maybe, is it isn't always possible. Now, sometimes you can stay at resorts, and they often will have childcare situations, but it may not be with someone who has been vetted in any way. And so it can be tough to trust. But this is why I do the work that I do as a retreat leader, because Michael and I will be leading the family retreat in Umbria this summer. And I got to tell you, we went to Todi and we visited the retreat center that we're going to go to for the family retreat with Kids Welcome. You've heard about this that I'm doing. That's going to be in July 12th to 19th. And we were able to check out the place and get a real feel for it, meet Tim and Caroline and their daughter. And I got to tell you, it's going to be incredible, because I design retreats that I want to go on. I design trips that I want to experience. And so to me, this is a no-brainer for people with young children, even though there are undoubtedly going to be challenges of traveling with young kids. The nice thing about, if you commit to coming to the family retreat with us, you will have us as your resource. We've done this a bunch of times. We know how to handle the situations that might arise. We've experienced it, and we can guide you through it. So, know that you have a resource in us. We can help you figure out what are the best flights for you. We can help you determine what types of things you need to pack and what things you can forget about, help you pack as light as possible. We can help you with tips. And don't worry, like every Italian train station and airport has lots of things in English. And there's always someone in an airport who speaks English. It's, the language barrier is only really a barrier once you get into a very small town where people don't speak English as much, but there's always somebody. So there's a lot of fears people have about it, but I think that if you want to have an amazing experience in Italy, and you have a young child or a teenage child, and you just would like a little bit of time to be who you are and explore yourself a little bit, but maybe also blend that with a family vacation, our summer family retreat is the thing for you. If this is interesting to you and you want to learn more about it, then check out danasaylor.com/Umbria. Umbria, Umbria, because all the details are there. danasaylor.com. You can go to danasaylor.com/retreats, and you'll see the other retreat that I have coming up in Sicily this fall. Normally, I don't do any marketing on my YouTube channel or on these videos that I make, but I wanted to share this with you because I just had this experience of being a parent on vacation and really getting kind of burned out, and you get tired, and it's okay to take a break. Thanks, friends.